What's going on, guys? It's your boy Abo here with All Things Sports. And today's topic for discussion of today, it's not really a topic, it's just my opinion. The longer this Tom Brady suspension goes on, the weaker the NFL looks. Now, before we get started on this video, if you like the content, please give a thumbs up on the YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so, because the second I get to my goal of 100 subscribers, or my first goal of 100 subscribers, I'm going to give myself a Gatorade shower. So you get to look at me, make a fool of myself. All right. Now, when we get into this topic about why the NFL looks weak the longer this Tom Brady suspension goes, is because we're already on week 5 of the Brady suspension appeal. Week 5. This is 3 times longer than it took the NFL to actually come to the decision to suspend Tom Brady for 4 years. 4 games. Now, the NFL is spending more time appealing or judging the facts of the appeal longer than they did to render the suspension. So what does that show you? It shows that they really had no foresight, because you know Tom Brady is going to appeal whatever suspension they give because he feels he is innocent of Deflategate, the text messages, whatever. And he has chosen to withhold his text messages, which is completely within his right. So the NFL, instead of actively pursuing, if you feel like he is guilty, some kind of rhetoric, potentially maybe even instead of Tom Brady taking you to court, if you truly feel Tom Brady is guilty, maybe you take Brady to court. You set a precedent of the NFL taking a stand and taking a proactive step to finding a resolution. And maybe if that goes to court, you subpoena Brady for the text messages he is withholding, since it would therefore be a legal matter. But no, the NFL has decided to take 5 weeks to look at an appeal. Now, it has been shown today that Tom Brady's team and the NFL are undergoing talks about a potential resolution and both sides coming to an agreement, which means that the NFL wants to avoid going to court more than, if they believe Brady is guilty, actively pursuing Tom Brady, because they don't want to set the very thing they do not have, which is a precedent. If you were to take this battle to a court, what this does is that it takes the NFL's power and it gives some of it away. So now, potentially going forward for future appeals and players that have a case against the NFL, instead of them dealing with arbitrators of the NFL and appeals within the NFL system, whatever rhetoric and decision the NFL comes to, they will simply bypass it and go to the courts. And that is something the NFL does not want to set as a precedent. Mind you, they don't have precedents. If they had precedents, you would have been able to simply see where Tom Brady is under this if you found him guilty, and then give the accurate amount of games that deals with what he's accused of. Same thing with Ray Rice. Ray Rice, they suspended him 2 games. Then what happened was that the rest of the world was outraged by it and influenced the NFL. How are you only giving Ray Rice 2-game suspension and suspended for the year? Ray Rice now is actually getting support from the very community that he ostracized and offended. And now they're trying to get him a job because they feel like he's paid his dues. So the NFL, for all that they're doing, are simply trying to prevent precedents of losing power, simply then, if they believe Brady is guilty, actively pursuing it. If you feel like he is guilty, go to the courts, end all of this, and get the facts. If not, clear him. Because all you're doing is just putting a ring around the rosy type of deal, and you're not coming to any conclusion whatsoever. It's the same thing, and the NFL is guilty of this in the past as well. If you look at the concussion protocol, the NFL for years knew that concussions were causing severe brain injuries and were affecting players years after they were done in the NFL. Knew this, did not do anything about it, and then eventually had a lawsuit filed against them, and then were found guilty and had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in damages for this. They talk about player safety, but they want to expand 18 games to the regular season. They want to talk about preventing head trauma and taking away hits and blows to the head, and players, because of the NFL has found themselves and put them in this whole hole, the players prefer to be hit high. Because the worst thing for player safety, if we're talking about longevity in their careers, is being hit in the knees, which is why you're seeing so many torn ACLs, MCLs, and players are on the shelf now for 8 to 10 months trying to rehab knee injuries, which prevent them from going back to work, because a knee injury will slow a player's career infinitely more than a blow to the head. And this would not be the case if the NFL simply admitted guilt or simply came clean with what they knew. So again, the NFL wants to simply hold on to this power instead of coming to the correct resolution about a situation that they've caused and have been causing for God knows how many years. The reason why this appeal has gone this long is because the NFL and Brady's camp most likely have been bartering and trying to come to a conclusion the entire time, because it doesn't take 5 weeks to come to a conclusion about a matter that you already came to the conclusion about facts about the first time. They already went over all the information. Brady appealed. The source of the information that came from the appeal of Brady's camp is less than the abundance of information that you gathered the first time. And yet it's taking you 2.5 to 3 times longer to come to the conclusion. So the NFL, for as much money and for as much organizational lack of integrity that has been going on, the fact that it's a cash cow and the fact that they want to maintain power over the organization, even though they have no concrete rules and regulations or precedents about anything, allows them to dictate whatever they want in terms of punishment or legal matter going forward. I mean, you just saw with the Des Bryant thing. They just randomly changed the rule out of the blue. You can change a rule that quickly that caused a direct impact on a game that influenced who could potentially play in the Super Bowl, but a suspension that you gave for 4 games to Tom Brady, which was equal to that of people that were undergoing domestic violence with Ray Rice, McDonald, the former 49er defensive tackle, players abusing performance enhancement policy, drug policies. That is the same as that. And you can't come to a conclusion about an appeal. They're just up in the air about all of this. It is extremely frustrating to see because you can just see the lack of integrity. And the NFL talks about their brand. It's only until the SHIT hits the fan that truly causes change in the NFL. You have to have public outrage or severe head trauma that are causing players to commit suicide because the fact, rest in peace Junior Seau, the fact that they simply cannot cope with everyday life and they'd rather end their lives. This is what causes fundamental change immediately in the NFL. It's frustrating to watch because God forbid the NFL would ever come down in terms of popularity. It would not be because of the product on the field, even though they keep cutting it down in terms of defense and shots to the head, and it's become a more offensive league. The only way the NFL comes down is from lack of organizational integrity and a piss poor job of running the NFL as a whole. But that's my 2 cents. I want to know what you guys think, what you feel of the appeal, what you feel about the NFL and their appeal processes, and if you feel like they have good organizational integrity or they have some resolute, compact way of going about issues that come up and they're relatively to in and out of the NFL, I want to hear them. Because this is the first video and probably one of the few topics that can actually get me frustrated in terms of professional organization and the kind of resources and tools they have at their disposal. But leave your comments down below. This is Ab with All Things Sports, and I'll see you guys later.